This chapter is going to go over organizational structures, looking at charts and graphics of different types of organizational structures, such as bureaucratic, flat, functional, matrix, and so forth. But not only do we look at the structure and graphics, but we also look at a mission, vision, and philosophy of an organization. Lord Fairfax Community College has their own, as well as the nursing program. We have our own vision, mission, and philosophy statement, and we'll look at those also. As you see here, your mission statement is going to kind of open up and set, as they say, set the stage by saying, here's our goal. Here's what we want to do for organization. So your mission statements are important for nurses to review before you go on even job interviews, because you want to see if their mission statement is consistent with your own personal beliefs and values. And if you'll look at the next chapter, you'll have an example. This example is the same example that you'll see in your textbook on page 138. There's a box 8-1, and it has a whole mission, vision, and philosophy of a neurological unit. And so as you read through this, think about if it would be a unit you would be willing to work on. And as we get in class, I'll pull out the LFCC mission statement for us to review as well. Next, we have the vision statement. And it's saying, here's our future. Here are some things that we want to identify for our future and where we want to aim for. So vision statements are usually used to ensure that everyone is going in the same direction for that organization. They're usually very short, future-oriented, very purposeful statements, and they use this to identify the desired future for the organization. As you see here in this example, it is a very short statement about where they want to be. The philosophy actually says these are our values, these are our beliefs, and what we do is we have a philosophy that we work, or that we work within, I should say, to be able to acquire what our mission is. So a philosophy is usually a written statement. It articulates the values and beliefs about what's to be held for the nature of the work required to accomplish a mission. So once again, it is important for nurses to be involved in developing an organization's philosophy about how they give patient care, their nursing, health, and wellness. Okay, there are 3 different types of organizational structures. You have complexity, formalization, and centralization. And so any organizational design are usually classified by these characteristics. So please make sure as I go through them that you read about each type so you have a basic understanding. When you have complexity, an organizational chart, this concerns the division of labor, how specialized that labor is, and the number of hierarchical levels and the geographic dispersion of the units. Your division of the labor and specialization is going to refer to designation of processes into what they call tasks. An organizational chart is a graphic representation of the work units and then who they report to, so their reporting relationships. When we talk about hierarchy, this is going to refer to the lines of authority and responsibility and how distant the patient side nurse is from either the chief nursing officer and the chief executive officer. When you have a chain of command, this is going to refer to the hierarchy and is the vertical view of your organizational charts. When you have formalization, this is going to be referring to the amount of structure an organization has in terms of rules or policies. So often, highly specialized organizations with lots of professionals have little formalization. Then you're going to have centralization, and this refers to where the decisions are being made. So where are they being made? So if everyone has to ask someone else, the organization is very highly centralized. If the organization is highly decentralized, meaning the opposite, each employee is charged with decision-making authority to provide the best patient care. If you have a highly centralized organizations, these delegate responsibility without authority to act. Patient-side nurses are often frustrated with this type of approach because they see the decisions to be made evolving as care is being providing. So in other words, someone else is making these decisions up the chain, such as your supervisors or your chief nurse executives, and they're not at the bedside, so they don't really see what is going on. So the nurses get very frustrated because someone's making these decisions who are not at the bedside and who are not on the units with them side by side. If you look in your textbook, we're going to look at some organizational structures. One of the ones that didn't make the slides was on page 144, and this is looking at your bureaucratic organizational chart. And so it has, what they do is they divide up the specializations of labor. It's very centralized. They also have the hierarchy of authority and the line of staff responsibilities. So look at that and you can actually see that. And they have bullets that will also help to direct you on the type of organization that is. But it makes sense, and this is what you will see in a lot of your older hospitals. This chart is your functional structure, and they have actually organized around specialties. So I'm trying to pull up my picture here. So you will have the CEO, and then you have the different departments, and under those departments you have your specialty areas. So as you can see, nursing services covers certain areas, your professional services or radiology, your pharmacies, dietaries, and respiratory therapy, where nursing services, surgical, peds, medicine, and obstetrics. The CEO is also over finance, human resources, and also IT. This chart is a service line structure, or you may say service or product line if you think about factories. But it focuses on various functions to specific services or products that are being supplied. So when you look at this one here, you'll see you have the CEO who is over all your services, but also you have finance, human resources, IT, legal affairs, and corporate communications also report into the CEO. And then you have your different services. Your cardiac services, here's some examples of some things that are underneath your cardiovascular services. So again, these are products that are being seen as, here's a service, and here are the products that we can supply you, so to speak. So if you look at that one, that's a different type of organizational chart. This structure is your matrix. They're a little bit more complex, and they integrate both functional and services. The manager of a matrix structural unit is going to report to both a functional manager and a service line manager. So it's a little bit more complicated in all who you report to. So if you look through here, you'll see that you have your president, and those who report to the president would be your vice presidents of certain areas. Then you have your product managers, your vice president of pediatric services. Then you have the director of pediatric services. Then you have your vice president of OB/GYN services, and the director of that, and so forth. And they go through and they kind of cut out the other individuals. Many nurses, when they're looking for jobs, they'll check the organizational chart, and you'll find that most nurses are very happy with this type of organizational charting because it's known as a flat structure, and what it does, it focuses on the delegation of decision making to the professionals who are actually doing the work. They have full authority to take action without seeking input from anybody else. Something else that you'll see with types of organizational structures are those who have shared governance. Your hospitals who have magnet status will have shared governance. And it's very well documented in all types of literature, and it's found in hospitals, again, who have achieved magnet status because it ensures that the person closest to an issue is the one who's actually addressing the issue. So someone else upstairs is addressing it and making a decision. So in this model, nurses are usually held accountable and responsible for evidence-based practice and making informed decisions that are going to impact their patients' outcomes. These may be called also professional practice models. So as we see in over time, a path of shared governance has evolved with certain steps or phases to do this. So here they are. They're all three listed here for you, all three phases. So please go ahead and look over those. And that will do it for this chapter.